come. Lizzie, stay.
Believe me, my dear Miss Elizabeth, when I say that your modesty adds your protections. However, I believe that my intentions have been too marked to be mistaken. For as soon as I came to this great house, I singled you out to be the companion of my future life.
Mr.
But
Collins.
before I run away with my feelings on the subject, I feel it only advisable that I state my reasons for marrying.
That is
Firstly, I believe it right for every clergyman to set an example of matrimony in his parish. Secondly, I believe it will add a great deal to my happiness. And thirdly, which I ought to have mentioned before, is the express recommendation of the noble lady who I'm honoured to call my patroness, Lady Catherine de Bourgh. It was that very Saturday night before I left Hunsford, between our games of quadrille, while readjusting Miss Anne de Bourgh's footstool, that she said,
Mr.
"It is time you marry. Choose properly. Let me be a helpful, useful sort of person, not brought up too high. Find such a woman as soon as you can, bring her to Hunsford, and I shall visit her."
If I may.
1 minute, please. It remains for me to enunciate why my energies have been directed towards a person. As I am to inherit this estate after the death of your honoured father, I cannot satisfy myself without resolving to choose a wife of one of his daughters, that the burden might be as little as possible after the melancholy demise takes place, which I hasten to add should not be for several years.
Most generous.
I could not be otherwise. To fortune I am indifferent, and by that means I shall make no demand upon your father. And now, my dear Miss Elizabeth, nothing remains for me but to assure you in the most animated language of the violence of my affection.
Sir, you are too hasty. You forget that I have made you no answer. Allow me to do so now. Please accept my thanks for the compliments you have paid me, but it is impossible for me to accept your proposals.
I understand.
Thank you for that.
But I am in no way discouraged. It is, I believe, usual for young women to reject at first to the man they need to accept.
I assure you, I am not one of those ladies. You could not make me happy, and I am convinced that I am the last woman in the world who could make you so.
You are uniformly charming, and I am in further than when solicited by both your excellent parents. My proposals will not fail to show you.
Your hope is extraordinary in light of my declaration. Why do you insist on disbelieving me?
Firstly, I cannot believe that my hand is unworthy of your acceptance. And secondly, I observe your financial situation to be so unhappily as to deter any romantic rivals. I therefore conclude that you are not serious in your rejection, and you merely believe to increase my love by suspense, as normal practice by young elegant females.
Really, Mr. Collins, if what I have said to you can appear as encouragement, then I know not how to state my refusal in such a way as might convince you of its being one. My feelings in every regard forbid an alliance with you. I cannot speak more plainly.
Mr. Collins, allow me to tell you that the prospect of our closer connection permeates me with pleasure.
I am euphoric to the marriage. However, there is one impediment.
And that is?
My declaration has been refused.
Refused?
I judge it a feminine strategy.
Mr. Bennett, you are wanted in here immediately. Lizzie will be brought to see reason, Mr. Collins. She is a headstrong, foolish girl who does not know her own position. I shall make her know it.
Forgive me, but if she is headstrong and foolish, perhaps we should not force her acceptance.
Oh.
After all, I wish for some happiness in the marital state.
You quite misunderstand me, Mr. Collins. Lizzie is only headstrong in matters such as these. In every other matter, she is as sweet-tempered a girl as ever lived. Mr. Bennett! Oh, Mr. Bennett, we are all in an uproar. You must insist that Lizzie marry Mr. Collins, for she vows she will not have him.
I have not the pleasure of understanding you.
Mr. Collins! Elizabeth Bennett! Your father wishes to speak with you! And now Mr. Collins begins to say he will not have Lizzie!
And pray, what am I to do on the occasion?
Insist that she marry Mr. Collins!
Come here, child. I understand that Mr. Collins has made you an offer of marriage. Is it true?
Yes, Father?
And this offer you have refused.
I have, sir.
Your mother insists upon you accepting it. Is it not so, Mrs. Bennet?
Indeed, or I shall never speak to her again.
Child, an unhappy alternative is before you. From this day forward, you must be a stranger to one of your parents. Your mother will never see you again if you do not marry Mr. Collins. And I will never see you again, if you do.
Oh, Mr. Bennet! Oh, Mr. Bennet!
I shall be at my desk while you ponder your...
I tell you, Lizzie, if you take it into your head to refuse every offer of marriage in this way, I do not know what will become of you after your father has deceased. Where is Mr. Collins?
Now, upon reflection, I feel certain pains and doubts about my felicity. Should my dear cousin accept, you will, I hope, not consider me showing any disrespect upon your fine family if I withdraw any pretensions to her favour.
Oh, Mr. Collins, you are not leaving!
Oh, not at all. My visit was to be until Saturday, and until Saturday I mean to remain. I am solicited to dine with Sir William and Lady Lucas, and I am transporting a collection of Royce's sermons to Miss Charlotte Lucas, to which she expressed to study under my tutelage.
The Lucases are artful indeed. It pains me to say it, but so it is. But what frustrates me infinitely more is being thwarted in such a manner by my own flesh and blood. Oh, nobody in this house cares for my nerves. But it is always so. Those who do not complain are never pitied.
Here's Mr. Collins.
Jane, I'm afraid that our dear mother's best hopes for one of her daughters must remain with you. What is it?
This just arrived from Caroline Bingley. She says they've all left Netherfield by now and with no intention of returning.
But why?
Mr. Darcy is eager to see his sister.
And I dare say my brother is scarce the less eager to meet her again. Charles and my house Georgiana Darcy so very much, and now he shall frequent seeing her on a most intimate footing. Darcy and all his relations